Alright guys, welcome back. It's a little different today. Today I'm going to be busting out as many cutting boards as I possibly can. I have this big stack of like Sapele offcuts that I'm just going to be ripping down to clean up the second edge, or the other edge. One side's pretty clean, the other side's pretty rough from the mill still. So I'm going to just cutting those parallel and trying to get through this whole big stack. It's about a foot wide or so. And then we'll glue up some cutting boards. I'm going to try to do them in long pieces and then cut them to size, either just in half to make two 2-foot long boards, or in thirds to make 16-inch long boards. Alright, so I found on this rigid table saw that the fence is not very accurate. I almost got a kickback the other day just because it was a little towed in on the far end. So I'm going to double check to make sure that it is square before I start cutting stuff. I just want to make sure I'm close enough to the table. Close enough to the blade. I think she's good. So I'm going to put some personal protection equipment on and start to cut. And plug in the saw. Must take glasses and mask. Alright, so like I said, I was going to keep these 48 inches long, but after cutting some walnut and maple down to that length, I'm just not comfortable on the table saw yet enough to rip those wide boards down, so I ended up cutting them down to 24 and 16 or whatever. So I'm going to cut these down to 24 or 16 depending on. And if you guys think you have to have the top of the line tools to do these things, you don't. Like this chop saw I got for $15 from the Naked Carpenter. Go check him out on YouTube. But it has a wobble when it first starts up, so you have to let it run for a second to get a straight-ish cut. But I'm going to trim the edges on my table saw once I build a sled anyway, so it doesn't really matter. You don't have to have top-of-line tools to make cool stuff, so keep that in mind. They're exactly 48, so I can't actually get 3 16s out of it, so I went to a 16 and a 24, so it is what it is. Alright, so now that I have the two sizes cut, I'm going to organize them into boards that I want to go together, and then put them aside and get them ready to glue up. I didn't actually make as many as I thought I would. I actually ended up not cutting a bunch of those stickers just because they're kind of warped and stuff, and I am not skilled on the table saw by any means, and I don't want to kill myself. So, this is what I got. Now to avoid having these get messed up, I'm going to take pictures of them on my phone and then wrap them together to try to keep them from getting mixed up, because that took me too long. Use a good amount of glue. It's cheap insurance. You don't want your glue seams to be lacking. And if you're trying to cut costs in your shop, cut it somewhere else, because you don't want to mess up a glue joint. I'm not saying pour a whole gallon of glue on it, but don't skimp. It's not worth it. You cost yourself more in time skimping. Yeah, put a little much glue on, but like I said, cheap insurance. Put everything up to one side and then clamp it. Clamp it pretty good, flip it, clamp it good from the other side. And you're gonna get messed up. That's how glue-ups go. Alright, so I got all the boards out of clamps. They dried overnight, most of them. I have one that's still in clamps that I'm not gonna work with right now, but I'll get the rest of them all plain. Alright, so I just finished planing the boards. They're relatively smooth, no glue lines or no edges. but they are definitely not super smooth. My planer kind of sucks. But yeah, and then I started getting chip out on this curly maple, so I have to do some hand sanding for that for sure. If you guys ever wondered what a planer does without any dust collection, I'm sure there's a ton of dust in the air. I was wearing a mask the whole time, but yeah. This is planing 7 boards, so I need some dust collection. Alright, to cut these square, I just set my miter gauge at 0. I kind of lined it up with the table saw blade to try to cut as little off as possible. Cut it through just like this. Make sure to keep your arm away from the blade. And I flipped it over using the same side against my miter gauge, just in case they weren't these two sides weren't parallel with each other. You want to have like a crooked board. You have one crooked side, but these seem pretty good. So yeah, other than routing and sanding, it's pretty much done. I'm just going through it and looking at which side of the boards I want to be the top. I have a 22 degree chamfer, or 22.5 degree I think, chamfer bit. That's the only chamfer bit I have, so that's the chamfer bit it gets.
Now for the sanding. I'm going to use 3 grits, 80, 120, 220. That's it. They're just cutting boards. You don't need anything else. Sand it to 220, wet it down, let the grain rise, sand it 220 again. Boom. Oil it, wax it. You're done. Let's watch this. Alright, so this is the only orbital sander I have. I don't have the little bag thing for it, so it just blows out a bunch of dust. So I just put a sock I got from the bowling alley with some clips. It's ghetto, but this is the only orbital sander I have right now, so until I make some more money to upgrade my tools, this is it, guys. Sock. Fingers. Okay, sanded these to 220, and this is kind of like my favorite part. This is just water, and I got an old t-shirt that I used to do this. I'm just gonna raise the grain, but I like it because it's like your first glimpse into what the cutting board is gonna look like with an oil on it.
All right, so we've got them all sanded to 220, so I'm going to use a small plane just to nick off the top sharp edge, and then don't forget the corners. A little change of scenery. I'm up in the office area or the loft area of my garage, office, addition. We're in here because I didn't want to deal with all the dust in the garage, because after sanding these, it's just dusty everywhere. Somebody's calling me. I'm just gonna liberally apply this oil to it, to all the boards. You want to leave it pretty relatively thick. I mean, you just want to make sure it's all covered. So all we're doing right now is just grabbing these cutting boards just with a clean cloth and wiping off any excess oil that's on them. Alright, after some waiting, this is finally warm enough to spray it. So we're going to get some wax. Get a nice liberal coat. All right. And you're supposed to buff off the rest. So I got clean cloth here, part of a t-shirt. I'm just gonna buff it up. Alright guys, so these are the finished boards. My house looks like a craft store now, or a craft show. But yeah, that's how you make cutting boards. And if you don't want to do this, you can always buy one of these. So that's it guys, those are my quarantine boards, and hopefully I'll sell them pretty quick and then move on. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments, and then like this video. Like it if you don't have any questions too. So, see you next time.